Hi folks, Brian Conroy here. I just bought a 2008, this is 2024 by the way, but I just bought a 2028 BMW R1200RT. I think that's one of the best bikes you could get for the money. I mean, bang for your buck. I mean, you know, this thing was, I don't know, what was it, 18, 19 grand when it was new. Anyway, everything was perfect on it, but I had to break something right away, just the first day I got it. I had to drive it home from, Colt, Washington to Tigard, and so I did that, no problem. But I got it, and it was raining, or it started to rain. I had it outside, I wanted to wheel it into the garage. So I wheeled it into the garage. I got these old Tony Romeos, not Tonys, these are, Romeos, whatever these are, these shoes, everybody has them. But they're flat on the bottom. I wore the tread out. I just wear them around the house. But I just wheeled the bike in here and I was gonna throw myself off the bike. I put my foot down and it slipped on, the water dripping off the bike. And it went right down and kind of landed on me. And I knocked over some wood stuff I'm working on. And I was just laying there, felt pretty stupid. Had to dig myself out and stand the bike back up. It didn't do anything to the bike that I could tell, other than it broke the windshield. These are pot metal. This is an electronically adjustable windshield. And it has an aftermarket one. It's pretty sweet. It's called the Z Technic Stream. It's for tall riders, which coincidentally I am. I'm 6'6". But anyway, broke the arms top and bottom. And so, of course, I got on the internet right away. And these are expensive. A set of these for both sides is about $185 delivered, including $12 delivery. And I'll put a link to the place I bought them. I had to search a little bit, so yeah, maybe that'll help you if you did the same thing. I think other people have broken these. I certainly see that already because they're pot metal, and I suppose over time they could break due to vibration, or of course if you drop the frickin' bike. But anyway, so I've got to pop these mirrors off. Apparently they say these mirrors just pop right off. So I'm going to try that real quick. And then there's, a couple torque screws here. And then there'll be torque screws in here to pull this piece off so I can get at these and unbolt them. And bolt the new ones on. The new ones are going to be steel, not pot metal. So shouldn't have this problem again. So little things to upgrade. Guy I bought this from even said the fuel line connectors inside were plastic, and one was leaking, and it was another design flaw at the time. So he took them all out and replaced them with brass fittings. So, you always got to do that with some of this stuff. I guess as a whole, they try to lighten the whole bike and decrease the cost for production. So they use some less than desirable materials sometimes. But this is a good example of that. So this is an OEM part, so it's not part of the windshield. It came with the bike. So this windshield just mounted onto the OEM arms. So I'm getting these replaced. So we'll see how that does. I'm gonna pop this mirror off. This is supposed to pop right off. I don't know, can I hold this phone and do that at the same time? I'm not sure, I'm gonna try it. Just a minute. I'll be darned, that was real quick. There's just 3 pressure points that go onto these little ball connectors. You just push it gently from the back and it pops right off. That's a neat piece of engineering. And apparently, with the nice torque screws on this fairing work and all this type of work, this bike apparently comes apart pretty quickly if you need to access stuff. I had a FJR 1300 Yamaha. But everything was really hard. It was all kinds of weird snaps, and it took me a lot of time to get stuff apart. Like, to get to the battery was hell. I don't know why they did the battery on that FJR. It's buried in, you know, on the right fairing was where the battery was. But at any rate, I digress. So I've got the mirrors off, take care of that, and then at least I can get in and take that. What I want to do is take these Torx off, and then I'll take this piece off, and then I can get to those connections, those arms. Okay, I finally got this piece off because there's an attachment, 2 attachments at the bottom, but the one over here is hidden. So you have to take, well, I took that side panel off and let it dangle from where it was connected. But then, so I've got this piece off, so now I can get to what I need to get to. But these are all number 25 Torx screw bolts. This one I just spread it out a little bit from here so that I could get to this connection instead of taking all this apart, which I did on the other side. So I realized I didn't have to do all that. I just needed to just spread it out a little bit. It is flexible, so it goes back there, but it flexed fine to get that off. The guy I bought this from said that actually these panels are quite strong and you can flex them without breaking them. So I was careful. I didn't. Anyway, so I got that off. Now we're getting down to what I need to get to. You know, and this is just a bunch of these, like I said, these number 25 torque bolts is what they are. And so now I need to get this piece off. I still need to get this piece off. I can kind of get to this. This is that broken arm piece here. The broken top and bottom again. So I'll see what I have to do to get this piece off. Some of these Torx are larger. In order to get this piece off, this is a number 30. So I'll get that one off. I did take that side panel off. Looks like I'm gonna have to take this one off too, even though I thought I could just flex it, but you have to get it off in order to get this big piece off. So there is one that's not a 25, but more like a 15 or so Torx, and it's right next to the fork, and it's under here, and you have to use a ratchet to get in there because you can't use a one like this because it's too long. Good luck. Anyway, we're moving on. Now I need to get this 30 torque bolt out of there. I got the one on the other side, but I had to pull that side panel off and get that off. Okay, we're getting there. It looks like there's another 30 down here on each side that needs to come off. First, yeah, I did get this one off this side. Now I got that one off that side. So we're getting somewhere. We're gonna get those I think I've got it. Now it's coming off. Aha! We are good. So I didn't have to get that inside one. It was just this one on the front that had to come off. So inside here, we need to pull this wiring harness off to pull this whole shield off the front. And there may be another wiring harness too, but let's get this finally down where I want to be. That piece came off. Just had to remove this wiring harness. It was a very simple clip, easier than US stuff. And then both these front turn signals, and they're just a quarter turn and pull out. So that whole thing came off, and now we can easily get to these two. And this is the motor here that turns this, that will raise or lower this windshield. And there are springs on here. So when I put the new arms back, I will have to reload those springs, it looks like. Yeah, because this one snapped because the arm broke. This one is still on the arm. So there's some kind of a preloaded down tension to balance these, so that this motor probably doesn't have to do as much work as it would by lifting the whole weight. Somehow there's a preloaded spring. So, but anyway, now I just need to get these parts in. I need this piece. This is a broken piece off of that. These were the lower arms. The upper arms have this like reinforced shape on them, but the new pieces will be steel. So they did this obviously to reinforce this pot metal. So, you know, if you have something weak, put more weak stuff on it to make it just a little bit less weak. Well, and look there's a bee in there. Look at that guy just resting in there. He's been in there a while. to set them free. Okay, I will get a video of putting the new arms on this when I get them in the mail. I put them on the slow boat because I didn't want to pay overnight kind of stuff. All right. My own reference, sure, mostly all 25, number 25 Torx screws. There are some bigger ones that are 30s. And on the bottom of these side panels is like about a 15. There's one screw next to the fork that's a 15. So not rocket science, but it's just good to remember to know that. It is good to kind of look how, you know, maybe a guy should break something once in a while so you get into this and kind of see how everything's kind of put together anyway. It is kind of interesting. But so that's not terribly laborious or complicated to get that all off. It's just a bunch of screws. It's nice to know that comes off all right. And anyway, we'll get back to this shortly. You see something interesting here. I can see how these arms come out of here. There's a, you know, one of those, I'll focus on that. One of those clip pins, which you do not want to lose when you pop that off. Be sure not to lose that so that you can put it back. And there's one on each side of that pin. But down the lower ones, I don't see how this is going to be. Is that a bolt? That is not a bolt. It's a round bushing. There's no clip on this. How is that going to come off there? This turns this rod with this windshield wiper type motor. But how does that come off there? We shall see. I'll have to do a little looking around to figure that one out. Okay, so in order to get everything put back together, I did take the these pieces off of the windshield so that I could get access to, so anyway, the windshield is fine. It's over here. But those two pieces do need to come off. There's a couple of screws on each side, then there's one underneath on each side. Now, I forgot to start filming this again, but anyway, I took out the, I did take out the pieces that were in. These were down in the lower end, were broken. These were standing straight up. And the only way to, what they are is one piece. It almost looked like on the end there was some rubber or something. There's not, there's just grease. So the only way to get those out is just to put like a punch or screwdriver and use a little ball peen hammer and tap those out until they come out. So these come out from each side. There's no keeper on this one. The upper ones had keepers. And so you can see how this arm is. Just wrap this spring around here. The top piece of spring goes on here. And then drive in the pin, put the keeper on it. Do the same on the other side. Make sure this top is here. This goes over the arm, goes through, the keeper goes on. And then so, again, this was not as difficult as I thought it was going to be on the lower end. Just tap the old ones, tap, 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 until they push out. And then the long end of this down on the bottom shoves right in. It fits perfect. I mean, gosh, they did a beautiful job making these aluminum billet. So much better than the pot metal, right? Should last a lot longer and be stronger. And so I've got it to this point, and now I just need to, I'll put these pins back in on the lower end, put the keeper on them. Those ones do have keepers. That's this pin right here and the keeper. So I'll put those on, and then I can mount the windshield back on. But before I put the windshield back on, I'm going to do, let's see. Yeah, I don't need to, I could put the windshield on first. I don't think that's a problem. I think I will, and then the rest of the body work can go around it. So anyway, that's the stage I'm at right now. So I'll put these pins in and mount the windshield. And then I can get back to putting all the body work back on. And that's all just busy work with the torque drive screws and such. You know, save everything where it goes. The mirrors pop right back on. That's pretty cool. So I'll be doing that now. Okay, I got this one in. I do like these keepers. They have a tab on them, so you can at least handle the darn thing. So that was some mega invention. I hope a guy made a fortune just for putting that little tab on there. So I went ahead and I pushed in this the piece here, the rod, and then I just pushed the keeper on and it snaps in. And now these are secure and back as they should be. And on to the next piece. On the other hand, you know, it's more than intuition. I'm going to put the bodywork back up first because this is going to be above it. So we'll do this last. There's no sense putting this on and then taking it back off just to put it back on again. The only thing I see is the upper portions are a little looser, and that's because, but I don't see that there's any problem with that. Really, I don't suppose that's an issue. Everything else fit perfect. Now these aluminum billet pieces, those are so nice. It cost a pretty penny. It was $182 including delivery, and they delivered them in 2 days. So, but at any rate, I will put a link to the company that I got those from so that you can easily get those ordered right away. Well, it's all about the order of operations, right? So, this has to go on before I can connect these lower pieces, because what happens is these come through the upper slots up here, and then this arm's got to come through the lower slot. So anyway, need to get this guy on here first. So it just took me a second to pull those back. In reassembly, what I did is just hold these two arms back with a bungee so that they don't interfere with putting this back on. And then these will feed through here. Then these, the main two fasteners for these were these big, for this large, gosh, what is that? That's the 30 Torx. These two guys, both, there's one on this side and then the one on the other side right here. We'll get those. Okay, we've got this snugged back on again with these 30 Torx units with the washer. You know, when you have this off for a couple of days, you kind of almost forget a little bit order process. But I got these two tightened up. Now, don't forget, which I suppose you could do later, but gosh, probably not, is to get your feedback plugged in. Here it is, for your all your lights that are in this fairing. So that's a nice snap. You could hear it snap in there. That's great. So this goes back around on here. No big deal. Okay, got those, and you've got the lower billets here. This makes sense because this was the windshield in the highest position, which is where I had it. And then we can take off our bungee. Those can drop down, and the spring will have those drop back down. But anyway, so now that's where we've got it, and then we can go ahead and put that windshield back on later. But let's go ahead and finish filling out the rest of the body work here. Okay. Most of this is going to be obvious, but this piece that goes around the gauges and that's the fake. They're not fake. They're speaker screens, but there's no speakers up there. Anyway, and then this will go. This goes right here. So there's just two Torx, one here and one here. And then these other ones right here will go, these will be behind the mirror, which will go here. So, and then that'll fasten that, starting to come back together, look like something. Okay, again, these things have to go back on in sequence as you pull them off. So before you put the piece that goes to surround around the gauges, if you took this piece off, and I didn't take it off the other side, but I did this side, you want to put this on. So this lines up right here. There's a piece down in here. It slides in there, and this comes down and has the two Torx that go in there. So you want to put this one in first so you can get into that washer that you see in the middle of the screen and put the fastener in. Okay, so back to the order of sequence in the puzzle pieces. You can't put in part C before you put in part A and B. You can't put part B in before you put in part A. So part A was, if you did separate this piece from this piece, put them back together before you mount them on the bike. Don't put this one on and then try to mount this one. So this one had a wire connected for a hot outlet here. So I had taken those two apart. But anyway, put them together first and then put them back on the bike. And do not put this piece on before you get these side pieces on, because you can't do it. So anyway, I think we're getting there. So now I'm going to check everything out, but then let's put that piece back on, and we'll put this piece on, and then we got the windshield, the mirrors, and I think we got it going. Don't forget again to plug in your power for headlights and probably horn, I'm not sure, and then your blinkers too. So the other thing, of course, is this is a good time, and it's like if you're wrenching on your bike because you have to, when who would do it otherwise anyway? It gives you a chance to see how some things look and work in here. And here's your oil cooler, because the heads are oil cooled. So that's right up front like a radiator. Then you can see your spring for the system, the triangle, the arm system, the unique way the suspension works on this front end. It's kind of neat. I think it, if nothing else, the front end doesn't dive nearly as much when you hit the brakes hard because of the way of the geometry of the shock. And it's just kind of a unique, cool system for the way that was engineered. But of course you get a look at everything else here, and this is the motor. It's like a windshield wiper motor that you activate that turns this gear system, and then we'll put this screen up or down. It's in up position now. And then these are just followers. So anyway, at least it gives you a look at where some of the things are. Okay, back at it this morning just to finish it up. I do have to just say that initially I had put this piece on first, and then I could not get the side panels on. And so I took this off and I put the side panels on, but once I did that, I could not get this on because it's wider here at the bottom. So what I did is I only, I disconnected the side panels except for one screw just to hold them up on there. Then I put this piece on, and I had my wife help me. She pulled these apart so I could slip that in there and then put this on. So I've got these on, and I've got the sides tightened up, and everything's tightened up, and now it's all just downhill. Just get the screen on here and we'll be done, and put the mirrors on. Okay, I don't know if I mentioned, but in the process of putting this piece back down, back on, I had the screen in the full up position, and that makes it more difficult to get it over these tabs. So do put the screen in the more of the down position when you're doing this. Now you can see how nice it is. Works like it's supposed to. Oh, there's a noise. Full down position. Full up position. These are aluminum billet pieces. And looks like it all worked all right. I don't see any conflicts. Let's run it down again. There's a little noise there. What's that snap? Huh. Well, I don't know what's causing that. Doesn't make a noise on the way up, on the way down. I don't see any particular issues, but maybe I'll have to figure that one out. But at any rate, it's done. And the bike's back together. And anyway, I guess first thing is Don't drop your bike in your garage, and then you don't have to do all that stuff. But look at the junk that was on there, really. Well, junk, it was fine until it was broken. But at any rate, those are all the pot metal pieces that were replaced. And so, happy motoring, keep the rubber side down. One thing I forgot to mention, and it's very important, is if your control brackets break like they did on mine, and you take them off, make sure to save the bushings. There's a tin bushing that goes on the upper part of the top arms. And if you don't have that bushing in there, it'll move a little bit, and that's no good. And that's actually what was causing the click when I ran these up and down, and that bothered me. And I hadn't thrown the old pieces away, and I got that bushing, and I should have been paying attention anyway. But put that bushing back in. It's got a washer end on it, and then the little it curves around into a minor bushing. And be sure to use those. Otherwise, everything is beautiful. See you later.